Hello. I think I finally I'm on my Chromebook, and I know it's a little hazy looking, but I got all these lights. All these lights over me. Let's see if I take some of them off, if it'll help. Let's take this one off. There we go. That's better. And look at my finished scarf. Doesn't it? I think it looks great with this dress because it's this color. Hey! And I got my sister's hat on today because it's chilly. Chilly, chilly, chilly. I read half of this. I read what I'm going to read right now. I might not even get as far as I did yesterday, Wuthering Heights. And I know some people yesterday said, if that book's not bringing you joy, don't read it. But I hate to start something and not finish it. Let's see how many. We're on chapter 12. Oh my gosh, it's got 34 chapters. I'll try. I hope I don't even know if anybody's listening. But anyway, I can say I read it. But yeah, I had too much stuff. I was trying to clear out my camera from all the videos I'd taken before, and I couldn't figure out how to do it. Finally, I got it. But that's what happened to yesterday's. It cut off after only 2 minutes, and I didn't know it. Chapter 12. While Miss Linton moped about the park and garden, always silent and almost always in tears, and her brother shut himself up among books that he never opened, wearying, I guessed with a continual vague expectation that Catherine, repenting her conduct, would come of her own accord to ask pardon and seek a reconciliation, and she fasted pertinaciously under the idea probably that at every meal Edgar was ready to choke for her absence, and pride alone held him from running to cast himself at her feet. I went about my household duties. This is the, housekeeper Nellie telling the story. I went about my household duties, convinced that the Grange had but one sensible soul in its walls, and that lodged in my body. I wasted no condolences on Miss, nor any expostulations on my mistress, nor did I pay much attention to the sighs of my master, who yearned to hear his lady's name, since he might not hear her voice. I determined they should come about as they pleased for me, and though it was a tiresomely slow process, I began to rejoice at length in a faint dawn of its progress, as I thought at first. Mrs. Linton on the third day unbarred her door, and having finished the water in her pitcher and decanter, desired a renewed supply, and basin of gruel, for she believed she was dying, that I set down as a speech meant for Edgar's ears. I believed no such thing, so I kept it to myself, and brought her some tea and dry toast. She ate and drank eagerly, and sank back on her pillow again, clenching her hands and groaning. "Oh, I will die," she exclaimed, "since no one cares anything about me. I wish I had not taken that, eaten that." Then a good while after I heard her murmur, "No, I'll not die. He'll be glad. He does not love me at all. He would never miss me." "Did you want anything, ma'am?" I inquired, still preserving my external composure in spite of her ghastly countenance and strange, exaggerated manner. "What is that apathetic being doing?" she demanded, pushing the thick and tangled locks from her wasted face. "Has he fallen into a lethargy, or is he dead?" "Neither," replied I. "If you mean Mr. Linton, he's tolerably well, I think, though his studies occupy him rather more than they ought. He is continually among his books, since he has no other society." I should not have spoken so if I had known her true condition, but I could not get rid of the notion that she acted a part of her disorder. "Among his books!" she cried, confounded, "and I am dying on the brink of the grave! My God, does he know how I'm altered?" continued she, staring at her reflection in a mirror hanging against the opposite wall. "Is that Catherine Linton? He imagines me in a pet, in play, perhaps. Cannot you inform him that it is frightful earnest? Nellie, if it be not too late, as soon as I learn how he feels, I'll choose between these two, either to starve at once, that would be no punishment unless he had a heart, or to recover and leave the country. Are you speaking the truth about him now? Take care. Is he actually so utterly indifferent for my life?" "Why, ma'am," I answered, "the master has no idea of your being deranged, and of course he does not fear that you will let yourself die of hunger." "You think not? Cannot you tell him I will?" she returned. "Persuade him. Speak of your own mind. Say you're certain I will." "No, you forget, Mrs. Linton," I suggested, "that you have eaten some food with a relish this evening, and tomorrow you will perceive its good effects." "If I were only sure it would kill him," she interrupted, "I'd kill myself directly. These 3 awful nights I've never closed my lids, and oh, I've been tormented. I've been haunted, Nellie, but I begin to fancy you don't like me. How strange. I thought though everybody hated and despised each other, they could not avoid loving me. And they have all turned to enemies in a few hours, they have. I'm positive the people here. How dreary to meet death surrounded by their cold faces. Isabella terrified and repelled, afraid to enter the room, it would be so dreadful to watch Catherine go, and Edgar standing solemnly by to see it over, then offering prayers of thanks to God for restoring peace to his house and going back to his books. What in the name of all that feels has he to do with books when I'm dying? She could not bear the notion which I had put into her head of Mr. Linton's philosophical resignation. Tossing about, she increased her feverish bewilderment to madness, and tore the pillow. I don't know if that's better or worse. Trying to get rid of that foggy look. Doesn't that look hazy to you? Might be that light up there. Maybe that's it. Anyway, she could not bear the notion which I put in her to philosophical residence. Tore feverish bewilderment to madness, and tore the pillow with her teeth. Then, raising herself up all burning, desired that I would open the window. We were in the middle of winter. The wind blew strong from the northeast, and I objected. Both the expressions flitted over her face, and the changes of her moods began to alarm me terribly, and brought to my recollection her former illness and the doctor's injunction that she should not be crossed. A minute previously she was violent. Now, supported on one arm and not noticing my refusal to obey her, she seemed to find childish diversion in pulling the feathers from the rents she had just made and arranging them on her sheet according to their different species. Her mind had strayed to other associations. "That's a turkey's," she murmured to herself. "And this is a wild duck's, and this is a pigeon's. Oh, they put pigeons' feathers in the pillows. No wonder I couldn't die. Let me take to throw it on the floor when I lie down. Let me take care to throw it. And here is a moorcock's, and this, I should know it among 1,000. It's a lapwing's, bonny bird, wheeling over our heads. in the middle of the moor. It wanted to get to its nest, for the clouds had touched the swells and it felt rain coming. The feather was picked up from the heath. The bird was not shot. We saw its nest in the winter, full of little skeletons. Heathcliff set a trap over it, and the old ones dared not come. I made him promise he'd never shoot a lapwing after that, and he didn't. Yes, here are more. Did he shoot my lapwings, Nellie? Are they red, any of them? Let me look. Give over with that baby work, I interrupted, dragging the pillow away and turning the holes towards the mattress, for she was removing its contents by handfuls. Lie down and shut your eyes. You're wandering. There's a mess. The down is flying about like snow. I went here and there collecting it. I see in you, Nellie, she continued dreamily, an aged woman. You have gray hair and bent shoulders. This bed is the fairy cave under Penistone crags, and you are gathering elf bolts to hurt our heifers, pretending while I'm near that they are only locks of wool. That's what you'll come to 50 years hence. I know you are not so now. I'm not wandering. You're mistaken, or else I should believe you really were that withered hag, and I should think I was under Penistone crags, and I'm conscious as night. And there are 2 candles on the table, making the black press shine like jet. The black press? Where is that? I asked. You're talking in your sleep. It's against the wall, as it always is, she replied. It does appear odd. I see a face in it. There's no press in the room, and never was, said I, resuming my seat and looping up the curtain that I might watch her. Don't you see that face? She inquired, gazing earnestly at the mirror. And say what I could, I was incapable of making her comprehend it to be her own. So I rose and covered it with a shawl. It's behind there still, she persuaded anxiously. And it stirred. Who is it? I hope it will not come out when you are gone. Oh, Nellie, the room is haunted. I'm afraid of being alone. So a press, I guess, is a mirror. I took her hand in mine and bid her to be composed, for a succession of shudders convulsed her frame, and she would keep straining her gaze towards the glass. There's nobody here, I insisted. It was yourself, Mrs. Linton. You knew it a while since. Myself, she gasped, and the clock is striking 12. It's true, then. That's dreadful. Her fingers clutched the clothes and gathered them over her eyes. I attempted to steal to the door with an intention of calling her husband, but I was summoned back by a piercing shriek. The shawl had dropped from the frame. Why, what is the matter? Cried I. Who is coward now? Wake up. That is the glass, the mirror, Mrs. Linton, and you see yourself in it. And there I am, too, by your side. And she would keep straining her gaze towards the glass. There's nobody here, I insisted. It was yourself, Mrs. Linton. You knew it a while since. Sorry, the dry mouth. Myself, she gasped. And the clock is striking 12. It's true, then. That's dreadful. Oh, I just said this, didn't I? And I'm by your side. Trembling and bewildered, she held me fast, but the horror gradually passed from her countenance. Its paleness gave place to the glow of shame. Oh, dear. I thought I was at home, she sighed. I thought I was lying in the chamber at Wuthering Heights. Because I'm weak, my brain got confused, and I screamed unconsciously, Don't say anything, but stay with me. I dread sleeping. My dreams appall me. A sound sleep would do you good, ma'am, I answered, and I hope this suffering will prevent your trying starving again. Oh, if I were but in my own bed in the old house, she went on bitterly, wringing her hands, and that wind sounded in the firs by the lattice. Do let me feel it. It comes straight down the moor. Do let me have one breath. To pacify her, I held the casement ajar a few seconds. A cold blast rushed through. I closed it and returned to my post. She lay still now, her face bathed in tears. Exhaustion of body had entirely subdued her spirit. Our fiery Catherine was no better than a wailing child. How long is it since I shut myself in here? She asked, suddenly reviving. It's Monday evening, I replied, and this is... It was Monday evening, I replied, and this is Thursday night, or rather Friday morning at present. What, of the same week? She exclaimed. Only that brief time? Long enough to live on nothing but cold water and ill temper, observed I. Well, it seems a weary number of hours, she muttered doubtfully. It must be more. I remember being in the parlor after they had quarreled and Edgar being cruelly provoking, and me running into this room desperate. As soon as ever I had barred the door, utter blackness overwhelmed me and I fell on the floor. I couldn't explain to Edgar how certain I felt of having a fit or going raging mad if he persisted in teasing me. I had no command of tongue or brain, and he did not guess my agony. Perhaps it barely left me sense to try to escape from him and his voice. Before I recovered sufficiently to see and hear, it began to be dawn, and Nellie, I'll tell you what I thought, and what has kept recurring and recurring till I feared for my reason. I thought, as I lay there with my head against that table leg and my eyes dimly discerning the gray square of the window, that I was enclosed in my oak-paneled bed at home, and my heart ached with some great grief which, just waking, I could not recollect. I pondered and worried myself to discover that it would be, and most strangely, the whole last 7 years of my life drew a blank. I did not recall that they had been at all. I was a child. My father was just buried, and my misery arose from the separation that Henley had ordered between me and Heathcliff. I was laid alone for the first time, and rousing from a dismal doze after a night of weeping, I lifted my hand to push the panels aside. It struck the tabletop. I swept it along the carpet, and then memory burst in. Henry burst in. My latest anguish was swallowed in a paroxysm of despair. I'm sure I slayed that. I cannot say why I felt so wildly wretched. It must have been temporary derangement, for there's scarcely cause. But supposing at 12 years old I had been wrenched away from the heights and every early association, and my all in all, as Heathcliff was at that time, and been converted at a stroke into Mrs. Linton, the lady of Thrushcross Grange, and the wife of the stranger and exile and outcast thenceforth from what had been my world, you may fancy a glimpse of the abyss where I groveled. Shake your head as you will, Nellie. You have helped to unsettle me. You should have spoken to Edgar. Indeed, you should, and compelled him to leave me quiet. Oh, I am burning. I wish I were out of doors. I wish I were a girl again, half savage and hardy and free, still laughing at injuries, not maddening under them. Why am I so changed? Why does my blood rush into a hell of tumult at a few words? I'm sure I should be myself were I once among the heather on those hills. Open the window again, wide. Fasten it open, quick. Why don't you move? Because I won't give you your death of cold, I answered. You won't give me a chance of life, you mean, she said sullenly. However, I'm not helpless yet. I'll open it myself. And sliding from the bed before I could hinder her, she crossed the room, walking very uncertainly, threw it back, and bent out careless of the frosty air that cut about her shoulders as keen as a knife. I entreated and finally attempted to force her to retire, but I soon found her delirious strength much surpassed mine. She was delirious. I became convinced I became convinced by her subsequent actions and ravings. There was no moon, and everything beneath lay in misty darkness. Not a light gleamed from any house, far or near. All had been extinguished long ago, and those at Wuthering Heights were never visible while she asserted she caught their shining. Look, she cried eagerly. That's my room with the candle in it, and the trees swaying before. And the other candle is in Joseph's garret. Joseph sits up late, doesn't he? He's waiting till I come home that he may lock the gate. Well, he'll wait a while yet. It's a tough journey and a sad heart to travel it, and we must pass by Gimmerton Kirk to go that journey. We've braved its ghost often together and dared each other to stand among the graves and ask them to come. But Heathcliff, if I dare you now, will you venture? If you do, I'll keep you. I'll not lie there by myself. They may bury me 12 feet deep. 12 feet? Good grief. And throw the church down over me, but I won't rest till you are with me. I never will. She paused and resumed with a strange smile. He's considering. He'd rather I'd come to him. Find a way then. Not through that kirkyard. Not through that kirkyard. You are slow. Be content. You always followed me. Perceiving it vain to argue against her insanity, I was planning how I could reach something to wrap her without quitting my hold of her, for I could not trust her alone by the gaping lattice. When to my consternation I heard the rattle of the door handle and Mr. Linton entered. He had only then come from the library, and in passing through the lobby and had noticed our talking, and then attracted by curiosity or fear to examine what it signified at that late hour. "Oh, sir," I cried, checking the exclamation risen to his lips at the sight which met him, and the bleak atmosphere of the chamber. "My poor mistress is ill, and she quite masters me. I cannot manage her at all. Pray come and persuade her to go to bed. Forget your anger, for it's hard to guide any way but her own." "Catherine ill?" he said, hastening to us. "Shut the window, Ellen. Catherine, why?" I have stopped there, y'all. Sorry about that. Torture, and I'm sure torture to listen to. I wish I could just put it on Audible and let y'all listen to that. I'll be back sometime today with Anne, which is a joy to read. Anne of Green Gables, AGG. And don't forget, live at 5 today. It's Sunday, as far as I know. So we were 3 yesterday, tea at 3. So tea at 3 again today, then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, back to 5. Okay, and I've been encouraged seeing some new squirrels, although my numbers are heading the wrong way. 1789, it even went down. It was 1798, I think, at the highest. So trying to get to 2K to do that nice giveaway, but like I say, it'll happen when it happens. I need not worry about it. Okay, see you guys later. Where's my sign? Here it is. Be sweet, don't be ugly. Have a great day. Hope you get lots of stitching done, whether you knit, whether you crochet, whether you loom, diamond paint, whatever you do. Have fun. And yeah, today's Sunday the 26th. Gosh, and this month only has, 30 days? So tomorrow, 27, 28, 29, 30. So April 30th is on Thursday, right? 27, 28, 29, 30. May 1st, yeah, May 1st would be Friday, I guess. Whatever. I was just thinking, Mayday, Mayday. Okay, see you. Hope to see you at 3. And we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Love you.